Welcome Lee Brownlie from Jubilee Projects.
But I think it's all about the team. The clients trust the core team. If I can trust them and they develop, then they will give me the commitment I need.
How many could you have working on all the sites at any one time?
On one site, we've got up to sort of 90 employees on site. I'm not in the business of micromanage. I want to be alongside team members that can think for themselves. I'd like to sort of take a back seat in my late 60s and pass the baton on to someone else.
COVID happens. How was that period? Did you see a big sort of shift in the market at that particular time?
It was a difficult time. We didn't furlough everyone. We kept the team together. We had to take pay cuts, but the team stayed together.
Was there a time you went through which was like the hardest?
When I became owner of the business, I felt like I had a responsibility not only to myself and my family, but also there was a big responsibility to ensure.
Welcome Lee Brownlie from Jubilee Projects. First episode around the ownership journey, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to give a bit of an introduction as to who you are, who Jubilee is?
My name is Lee Brownlie and I'm the Managing Director of Jubilee Projects. Jubilee has been 50 years of excellence and experience, meaning that we're one of UK's leading hospitality and commercial fit-out contractors, specialising in delivering anything from Michelin-star restaurants to award-winning interiors.
Yeah.
Jubilees they were formed in 1974 by David Jubilee, who plays an active role within the business still. And our main focus is to deliver high-end, fast-track fit-out projects backed by a core team of excellent experience over many decades.
So one of the things when I got involved in the business was the brands that you've worked on. So what are the names that like people might have heard of that you're involved with now or that you've been involved with previously?
So initially it was brands like Oddbins, Pizza Express, GBK, Jamie's Italian, Hawksmoors.
Wow.
And now we're working with hotels such as Zeta Hotel, Marylebone Hotel, Hilton Hotels. So yeah, there's a wide range of clients that we work with and are still working with over a very, very large amount of years.
And in the business, there's obviously a lot of contractors in the market. How does Jubilee? What is it that Jubilee is sort of famous for, and why is it that you're renowned for that? For the sort of higher end, higher quality works, because it is sort of a niche within the broader construction industry. So what is it that Jubilee has become?
As you said, it's over 50 years we've built up that brand, that name, and to deliver very high-end projects. But I think it's all about the team. The team over the years, we've been together, the core team have been together for a number of years, and the clients trust the core team. The clients want to work with us, and we try and bring in people and build on the team with excellence and experience. And I think the team that we have, they enjoy the precision that we deliver, enjoy the challenge of delivering high-end specialist fit-out works.
Yeah, and presumably like the team is both immediate team, but the broader supply chains, like give an idea of like how many people are in the core team, as in sort of employed by the business, and how many could you have working on all the sites at any one time?
So at the moment, there's 25 internal core team members from different specialist departments, design through to project management, commercial, quantity surveying, etc. But the supply chain is pretty vast, with like several MEP contractors, joiners, specialist finishes. And on site at the moment, on one site we've got up to sort of 90 employees on site.
90, yeah. Yeah, because I'd heard an estimate it was around 200. Could be in the.
Well, when I say that's
not full time,
that's on one site.
Yeah.
Then across the board, around about anything between 150 and 200 operatives on site at any one time.
Yeah, plus the extended supply chain of people who are working in the joinery workshops
in the background. Yeah, you've got metal fabricators, joinery fabricators. You've got the design teams.
Yeah.
and their management side of it. We're working with the client's design teams as well on a regular basis to develop the design and deliver the projects as fast as we can.
Yeah. Several hundreds. Yeah. Amazing. So part of the purpose of the podcast is just to talk about people's journey from going from employment to owning a part of or most of or all the businesses. So going back to like, how did you first, when you were a kid, like how did you first know you were going to get into construction, and like what was that journey? Was your dad into it, or did someone inspire you, or did you fall into it, or what was it?
My dad was very hands-on. He was a sheet metal worker at that time.
Right.
And when I left school, there was an opportunity to take on an apprenticeship as a carpenter. So I was introduced to Jubilee's back in, I think it was 86. 1986.
Jesus.
And I served my apprenticeship with Jubilee's and, through to the age of 2021. And then I left Jubilee's.
So your first job was with Jubilee?
Correct.
At 16 or 17 or 18?
No, 16.
16 years old. So left school early, joined Jubilee as an apprentice carpenter.
Correct.
So back then, Jubilee had carpentry business in-house.
They did. All of the projects that they delivered, a workshop, and they built all their joinery within the workshop.
Yeah, wow. And so you from 16 to...
So from 16 to 2021, I stayed with Jubilee's, served my apprenticeship. And then I moved on from Jubilee's to go back to university to do a degree in construction management and building surveying. And when I graduated, I then got an opportunity to work with the restoration section of Sir Robert McAlpine's.
Yeah.
And that took me up till I was 31.
Yeah.
And then I bumped into one of the previous directors, and we discussed the opportunity to come back into the business, into Jubilee's, and I accepted.
As a carpenter or?
No, it was a role as a project manager.
Project manager.
Because my journey had taken me from site management from, to project manager.
Right.
So when I joined back with Jubilee's, my role was project manager.
Yeah. So in charge of delivering a project.
Two or three projects at a time.
Yeah.
Over, any one time, all over the country.
So you were in your 30s then. What was the next sort of like big pivot in your career in Jubilee? Like,
sure. I went. It must have been around about 2016, 17.
Yeah.
I was offered an opportunity to become a project director, and I accepted the challenge. So that meant that I was overseeing, instead of running 2 or 3 individual projects, I was overseeing sort of several projects and working alongside with project managers.
So that was the time when Michael, because I think there were 3 directors at the time, wasn't there? David and Michael. So
yeah, David and Michael. Michael decided to retire. There was an opportunity to step into his position.
Yeah.
And then move forward with the company.
Yeah. And did that change your mindset at all about the way you were operating, or did it feel like a natural transition for you?
Personally, it felt like a natural transition. However, there was more responsibility. Globally, I was looking after several projects with. I had project managers below me and to the side.
Yeah.
So I had to ensure that globally we were meeting the client's expectations, but also at the same time supporting the team alongside me.
Mm. And then obviously COVID happened, and we obviously there's a downturn in that market segment. And so how was that period? Did you see a big sort of shift in the market at that particular time?
It's interesting because it was a difficult time. We didn't furlough everyone. We kept the team together. We had to take pay cuts, but the team stayed together.
Yeah.
So during that period, we re-educated ourselves in areas that needed to develop, so that when we came, the company stayed together. We survived. We stayed together. So when COVID was over, we was ready to deliver or re-deliver projects for clients. And we found at that particular time there was an abundance of work coming out of COVID. We was ready for it. Yeah.
Obviously, David and David sold their shares. So you became a bigger shareholder, I think, at that time, didn't you? And then David and David sold their shares to us. Like, what was the feeling from yourself at that point? Like, how did that feel that particular time?
It's interesting because you guys were taking a lead role then,
Yeah,
and David were taking a bit of a back seat.
yeah,
So we had to build our relationship then. I felt
Yeah.
that we need to ensure there was cohesion between us to continue the journey and keep the commitment to the team and to our clients.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I didn't see it as an obstacle. It was just another challenge.
You're in majority of the business now. When did you first feel there was a big shift of like, all right, okay, it's just me now, and there's still people to support, like David and others, but was there a moment you're like, okay, now it's an opportunity, now it's mine?
Yeah, I think my mindset changed when I became the managing director before becoming a major.
Just 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago, the whole concept of management changed. I had to sort of detach myself from the day-to-day running of projects, and I was there as a support capacity.
Yeah.
For clients, for my team, internally and externally. It was a challenge, but then when I become owner of the business, I felt like I had a responsibility not only to myself and my family, but also there was a big responsibility to ensure that the Jubilees would progress and evolve, and I needed to ensure that the team had I supported them and their families as well. So I've become a bit of an overlord. Instead of delivering projects, I was ensuring the future of the company and the team.
Yeah. And I suppose a feeling of sort of responsibility at that point.
Massive responsibility.
Yeah.
Massive. And, it's always on my mind, but I try to deal with it. And
Well, we'll come to that. It's interesting. How do you, I'm just curious because I have my son who's 10, you've got 2 young kids as well. You try and explain bits, but was your family aware? Like, did you involve your wife in the decision making?
Absolutely,
as well. Like,
absolutely.
what was going on in the background?
My wife was very supportive of taking control of the business and sort of buying the business technically.
Yeah,
there was a lot of support there. And my children, to be quite honest, when you come home from work and you've had a tough day, you sort of jump into family life and understand their worlds, which I think is important. I don't normally come home and talk about work. I just want to be involved in their worlds, and they got clubs and homework and challenges of their own, and I need to be focused on that to a degree.
Yeah.
So when coming home, I tend to sort of know that my problems will be there in the morning. So let me be a family man then.
One of the things that sort of I found unusual observing with Jubilee is there's quite a high retention rate. Like, the team really like working for you, and so what's your methodology or thinking behind like leadership and what you understand from that? And I know you've done a few courses and stuff like Vistage and these things. So just to be interesting to get your perspective of management.
I think you can't micromanage. I'm not in the business of micromanaging. I want to be alongside team members that can think for themselves, that want to evolve, that want to move up the ladder, and I want to support that. So, given an understanding that the team there is, you can grow within the company and you can be rewarded. And I think that's important to allow them to think for themselves, and also gives them an opportunity of, if I stay, there is a future here, and I'm just there to enhance their abilities and their decision making, so that they can one day they can take my role.
So you see it almost as a moving from PM or project director from doing, not to say you're not doing now, but to more of a coaching kind of aspect, where you're trying to get the most out of other people.
Supportive role, because not only are you delivering projects, you got to ensure that the teams that you've put forward for these projects, you give them the support so that they feel part of the team. Internally, in the core team in the office, they need to make decisions that are going to benefit the business. But at the same time, a lot of my time is social working. I've got to look.
There's
always a problem with individuals. There's always problems with clients. There's always problems with the teams on site, and I'm there as a support mechanism, and I'm totally into the team and understanding their worlds and trying to help them make the best decisions.
So when you were taking on the MD role, did you then talk to the senior team and say, this is what I'm thinking of doing? Are you on board? Or was it?
Absolutely, I did. I went to the core team members and said, there's an opportunity for me to take the MD role. What are your thoughts? And are you happy with if I take this role on? And if I do, we discussed how I would manage them and how I would manage the company. And
so a collaborative.
Absolutely, always the way. And they were very supportive. So they've given me the support that I need, and I, ultimately will give them the support they need.
Amazing. And the culture at Jubilee, how intentional have you and the leadership team been? Because obviously you've spoken about how you listen to the team and you enable people to get on with their jobs and support them. Have you spoken about with the leadership team about like what culture you want to create, or is it just something that's kind of developed organically?
I try to create a no blame culture.
No blame.
All of the decision making is done as a collective. We sit down on a regular basis to discuss individual projects and how we can better ourselves and how we can evolve and improve in every area of the business. And it's a collective decision, and that's my approach.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you made a mistake, get it out in the open, all discuss it.
I encourage people to make decisions, because if you don't make decisions, you're never going to make you're never going to make a mistake. And once you've made a mistake, you need to learn from that mistake. And I think that's important.
So David Jubilee, 1974, 50 years plus now. How was he in handing over the reins? Like, how has he helped? What have you learned from him? Both what to do and what not to do? Like, how is that?
I've pretty much learned everything from him.
Wow.
He's been like a father figure to me since I joined the Boulets back in 2001. I'd lost my father the year before, and then coming back to the Boulets, I felt that David, become my second father. And I learned so much from him, not just from PMing and management, but how to work with people, how to understand people, and how to get the best out of people. So David's been a big influence on my life.
Still involved?
Yeah, he's still involved. Every week we sit down and we discuss.
Does he still go on site, or?
He does, and we've got a meeting scheduled for when he comes back off holiday.
Right.
So, on site.
Very nice. No, great. And I suppose one of the other things we wanted to explore was around like health, wellness, and balance. How do you, how, I guess in a way, being a project manager and a project director and an MD, I suppose it's all the same thing. It's just the scope is sort of increased, I suppose, isn't it really? But like, how have you managed yourself as a person, through those changes?
Well, I think there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I try to focus, as I said, when I come home from work, on family and as me as an individual. So outside of work, I try to manage my mindset by exercising, a little bit of mindset, meditation, cold therapy, deep breathing, and just understanding that to be the best person that you can, you need to be, your body needs to be in good shape, and your mind, it helps your mind and your focus at work, so you can deal with problems and situations a little bit better than you would if you wasn't focusing on your health and well-being.
So do you mind if I dig into some of those? So exercising, you did boxing back in the day, or what do you? I did a little
bit of boxing. I did a bit. Yeah, it was a year where I did a few white collar boxing fights. And the training's very good.
I can't imagine you being violent enough for that.
No, it was off the tick. I had a ticket off the list.
Right.
But my daughter, she swims, and I swim a couple of times a week with my daughter, and belong to the gym. And every morning, most mornings I will exercise and have a cold shower, do a little bit of deep breathing. I think it sets you up for the day and the challenges ahead. But most of all,
so not a cold plunge, cold shower.
A cold shower. We haven't got a plunge pool in the house.
No, there's one of the gym where we are.
One of the gym's good. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, we do that sort of the hot and cold therapy. I think there's a lot of benefits.
And breathing. Is there a particular, there seem to be multiple methods to...
Yeah.
This morning I had a look at... I just did 10 minutes with Wim Hof.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the sort of thing that you...
Exactly, yeah.
Just YouTube Wim Hof,
Very good.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Was that the sort of thing you do, or have you got a routine that you use?
No, that's it, pretty much so.
Yeah. Very good. And have you when was the time when you look back at the business and different projects and different evolutions, was there a time you went through which was the hardest? What if you had to look back and say, wow, that was a hard time I went through? Was it COVID or taking on a new role, or what was the...
I think, as your journey, there's always going to be difficult times. I remember difficult times as project manager when you're up against tight deadlines and you've got to deliver. And you need to put the hours in, weekend works, late hours, etc. But you're focusing on one or two individual projects, and then as you evolve and you become a project director, then you're looking after several projects, and then you're trying to work alongside project managers, and you've got to understand their world and the difficulties that they're facing, so you're helping them out. But then when you become MD and owner of the company, then it's vast. You're responsible for every single aspect of the success of the company. And what I want to do is even though there's always going to be challenges and difficulties, I want to sort of try and sap up the responsibility. I don't want to put the responsibility too much on any individual. So I feel I've got an obligation to help them both project management perspective, but from a well-being and family perspective as well.
So you're kind of like a shock absorber in a way for...
Yeah, always.
Always.
Daily there's always a challenge with an individual or with a client or with a project, and it's how you face this and resolve.
Because with the construction projects that you do, it's not like a house which has deadlines as well, or maybe a public sector building. The retail fit outs that you do, you presumably got retail teams that want to get on site at a particular date. So is that the pressure from the client? Is that they're building towards opening day, or and they're hiring in advance? Is that what it is, or what is it that drives those?
Yeah, pretty much so. Most of our projects, there's apart from residential, the client's responsible for their teams coming in and taking possession of the project, the finished project. So they've got to start to earn money. We need to deliver on time. We need to deliver on budget in order to keep the relationships buoyant and progress.
And you've got some particularly around Christmas, isn't it? I think a lot of is that there's particularly pressure points, isn't there? Because there are peak times for
the good thing about the construction industry is that the majority. They tend to have a break at Christmas because throughout the year it's consistent. But we will, on certain projects, we will work between Christmas and New Year because we need to, because we've got some deadlines to meet in.
But deadlines for opening tend to be before Christmas, aren't they? Or before Easter, or set periods.
Clients they want to deliver their projects before Christmas so they can trade for the Christmas, and that's what we're doing right now. We're delivering projects, and 2 or 3 now that need to be open for Christmas, so they will hand over as we speak. And then other projects the next phase will be for Valentine's, and then the next one will be for the summer. So it goes in phases, three phases. Really.
So just going back to the health and wellness, if you've got staff that you can see, if you've got a certain staff member you can see who's sort of struggling, what advice do you try and tell them what you do to help them, or and then say you might want to think about these things, or
we'll sit down and we'll have an honest conversation about what their troubles are and concerns, and I try and provide some advice, and if I can, show them, how we can achieve a better wellness for them as a collective.
When you think about like the difference between like being sort of manager and an owner, are there any other things? Is it for you? Is it just like the scope of it is just much larger? So it's a similar sort of mindset to being a project manager, but I think from what you're saying, it's just that the scope of it is a lot larger than what it was previously.
Yeah,
and therefore you have to push down responsibility to.
Yeah, you hold a responsibility to all of your clients. You hold a responsibility to all of your employees and to my family. So the responsibility is fairly vast, but I think if you can manage it correctly and you've got a team around you that can not only support themselves but support you and vice versa, then that's what makes Jubilee successful.
Yeah. Did you find from a client perspective that it helped from a positioning perspective for you to say, I'm the MD and owner and the buck stops with me? Is that or did that not really play into any of the conversations that you were having with clients and projects you were winning and so on? Because there are some...
Absolutely. The buck does stop with me, but I think because the core team have got a vast amount of experience that they hold the clients that they work for, or they've got they've got a relationship with them, and they tend to manage their clients' expectations. And I very rarely get involved with them because they've got such a good relationship. But I'm there to support them and also the client.
So actually, it was consistent throughout. It was just a continuation, effectively.
It was, but with more responsibility.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. If you were to go back and give advice to your 30-year-old self or 35-year-old self going on a journey from like being an employee to an owner, is there anything you would advise that 30-year-old Lee Brownlie now? It
depends on the individual. It depends if you want to evolve, you've got that desire to rise, to step up the ladder. I was lucky in the fact that I was given the opportunity, and it was just for me to grasp the opportunities and look how I could do things slightly differently than my predecessors and how I could put a different edge on the company's mindset. And I think to me, it's all about the team and the collaborative approach to making the Jubilees, continuing the success and the business.
So it felt like more like an evolution. It
was an evolution and an obligation.
Yeah.
So it was an obligation. I was given the opportunity, but I felt I had an obligation to better myself and also allow the team to come along for the journey.
Yeah. When you observe like other business owners, of your supply chain or clients, I guess you must meet the owners of restaurants and so on as well. Is there something you observe where people get it right, and also vice versa? Is the stuff you learn that they're doing that they do wrong? Like, what's your observation of other business owners and the way that they lead?
It's an interesting question. I don't know them well enough to comment on how they structure their business. But as I said, I've learned an awful lot from David Jubilee and also previous directors, and also the teams that I work with and the supply chain. So I tend to take the best bits from all of them and try and put them together to put a different edge on it from my perspective. Yeah,
I think one of the things I've learned from you is just around is probably versus other business owners, you're probably tend to trust people.
I feel just the way I am, and I will always give the benefit of the doubt to everyone. And I will allow people to develop with my support and trust them, because I feel that if I can trust them and they develop, then they will give me the commitment I need to build.
But I think when people like progress through their careers, they start off as a technician, so you become really good at something like being a carpenter.
Yeah.
And then you go up to being a manager, where you're managing other people doing that technical job. And then eventually you're moving up to leader, but it can be tempting as a small business owner or medium-sized business owner to still try and control every aspect of every process. But that's my observation.
I'm still involved in every aspect of the business.
Yeah.
We discuss all elements on a regular basis. But I will allow the team and others to provide solutions and ask them what they would do and what do you think you should do and what should you do before I make an opinion on it. So I want to allow them to think. If they can think and they get it right, then they're on the right path. You know, I don't want to keep getting involved all the time unless it's necessary.
Yeah, no, that does make sense, because if you, I suppose the risk is if you have an opinion as the owner, the leader first, then they're not given an opportunity to say what they.
But I've always said, please don't take my kindness as a weakness. I'm here for you, but at the same time, I need commitment, and I need them to develop and also to perform. So, but we do it as a team.
And personally, has like owning the business, maybe not now, but in the future, has it changed the trajectory of what you and your family?
No,
it's still the same.
No, it's
the same.
And my family are very grounding. And I think that's important. Obviously, I'm trying to make a better life for myself and the family. Yeah. But we're blessed and we're fortunate in many ways. And the challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis, I tend to understand that there's people out there with a lot more challenges than we have. So the challenges that we face they're nice challenges.
In perspective.
And because of our experience, we should and we do overcome them so that we can deliver on our expectations.
Makes sense. You saw David's retiring in their 60s, late 60s, I guess it was. I suppose.
Yeah, pretty much so. Late 60s.
Or it's mid 60s maybe, when they first started thinking about it. So what does the future look like for Jubilee? Like, what have you got plans, or are you just kind of looking at it from project to project?
I would like to be in a similar situation as David. I'd like to sort of take a back seat in my late 60s and pass the baton on to someone else. And I feel that that's quite easy. It's quite easy for me to do that. I feel that the team I've got now will continue to evolve and develop, and no doubt that there will be there's one or two that will be happy to become MD at some point.
Fantastic. I've always been sort of inspired by your leadership style. People in the business follow you and look up to you. And I think one of the things I find is that, you go through the kind of ups and downs of business. You've found a way to remain very calm throughout, which is very impressive. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you for asking me.
See you soon.
Thanks, James.